What happens to those who challenge Allah? What happens to those who dare to challenge the Creator of the heavens and the earth? Throughout history, there have been individuals and entire nations who rose in defiance, believing they could stand against the one who controls all existence. They mocked the truth, dismissed divine warnings, and placed their trust in their own strength, wealth, or status. Yet, time has proven that no power, no matter how great, can withstand the decree of Allah. Some were rulers who oppressed their people, convinced that their authority was absolute. Others were scholars and thinkers who ridiculed faith, assuming that their knowledge made them superior to divine wisdom. There were even entire civilizations that rejected guidance, choosing arrogance over submission. But what became of them? Did their strength protect them? Did their wealth save them? No. In the end, every one of them faced the justice of their Lord, and their names became warnings for those who came after. The Quran is filled with reminders of those who opposed Allah and His messengers. Their stories are not just tales of the past. They are lessons for the present and the future. They teach us that challenging Allah is not only futile, but leads to an inevitable downfall. And yet, in every era, there are those who ignore these warnings and repeat the mistakes of the past. But what exactly happens to those who rebel against their Creator? How does divine justice unfold, and what can we learn from their fate? Stay with us as we explore the undeniable consequences of standing against the truth and the hope that remains for those who choose to return before it is too late. From the very beginning, arrogance has led people away from the path of truth. It is a trait that blinds the heart, making a person feel superior, even in the face of undeniable guidance. And the first to embody this arrogance was none other than Iblis, the accursed. When Allah created Adam, and commanded the angels to bow before him, they obeyed without hesitation. But Iblis refused. He was not ignorant of Allah's command. He knew the truth. Yet his pride prevented him from submitting. He saw himself as greater, believing that his creation from fire made him superior to Adam, who was made from clay. His arrogance became his downfall. Allah tells us in the Quran and mentioned when we said to the angels, "Prostrate to Adam," and they prostrated, except for Iblis. He refused and was arrogant and became of the disbelievers. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:34. This moment set a pattern that would repeat throughout history. Many who came after Iblis followed in his footsteps. Kings who believed their rule was absolute, tyrants who thought they could defy Allah's laws, and entire nations who placed their trust in their strength rather than in their Creator. But their power did not last. Their arrogance did not protect them. The same way Iblis was cast out from the mercy of Allah, these people faced consequences that none of their wealth, armies, or influence could prevent. Time and time again, history has shown us the fate of those who let pride lead them to defy Allah. But what exactly happened to them? What price did they pay for their arrogance? The answer is found in the stories of the past. Stories that serve as a powerful warning for those who are willing to listen. Throughout history, Allah has given clear warnings to those who defy Him. Time and time again, people have risen in arrogance, believing their strength, wealth, or armies could protect them. Yet, their power was no match for the decree of Allah. When they crossed the limits, their destruction was swift and absolute. One such nation was the people of Ad. They were known for their incredible strength and massive structures. They believed they were invincible, boasting that no force could overpower them. But their arrogance led them to reject Allah's message and deny the prophet sent to guide them. Instead of humbling themselves, they continued in their pride. And then, the punishment came. Allah sent upon them a furious wind, violent and unrelenting. For 7 nights and 8 days, it raged through their land, leaving nothing but devastation. The once mighty people of Ad were reduced to lifeless bodies, scattered like hollow trunks of palm trees. And as for Ad, they were destroyed by a screaming, violent wind. He imposed it upon them for 7 nights and 8 days in succession, so you would see the people therein fallen as if they were hollow trunks of palm trees. Surah Al-Haqqah 69:6-7. Another powerful example is Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt. He was given countless signs, yet he refused to submit. His arrogance led him to believe he was a god, and he oppressed his people with cruelty. When Prophet Musa called him to the truth, Pharaoh rejected him and challenged Allah's authority. But no amount of power could save him from what was coming. As he and his army pursued the believers, Allah caused the sea to part, allowing Musa and his followers to pass safely. But when Pharaoh entered the path, the waters came crashing down, drowning him and his soldiers. At that moment, he finally realized the truth, but it was too late. His kingdom perished, and his body was preserved as a warning for those who would come after. So today, we will save you in body that you may be to those who succeed you a sign. And indeed, many among the people of our signs are heedless. These stories are not just tales of the past. They are lessons for every generation. They show us that no matter how powerful a person or nation may seem, challenging Allah always leads to ruin. Those who defy Him will never succeed, for His justice is swift and undeniable. Throughout history, there have always been people who mocked the truth. They dismissed divine guidance as mere myths, laughed at the warnings of the prophets, and believed they were above accountability. But time has shown that those who ridicule the signs of Allah only bring humiliation upon themselves. The leaders of the Quraysh were among those who rejected the message of Islam. When the Prophet Muhammad invited them to worship one true God, they refused. They called the Quran old stories from the past, spreading lies to turn people away from the truth. Yet, despite their arrogance, their influence did not last. One by one, they met their downfall. Among them was Abu Lahab, the uncle of the Prophet, and one of his fiercest enemies. He did not just reject Islam, he insulted and opposed the Prophet at every turn. He mocked him publicly and used his wealth to fight against the message of Allah. But his hatred did not go unnoticed. In response to his arrogance, Allah revealed an entire surah condemning him. Perish the hands of Abu Lahab and perish he. Surah Al-Masad 111. And perish he did. Abu Lahab suffered a terrible fate. He was struck with a painful disease that left him in agony. His own family abandoned him, fearing his illness. He died in misery, alone and humiliated. The same man who once walked with pride was reduced to nothing. His story is a lesson for all who mock the truth. No matter how powerful or wealthy someone may be, challenging the message of Allah only leads to disgrace. Those who ridicule His signs may laugh for a while, but in the end, they are the ones who will face regret. Allah's justice never fails. Even today, there are those who challenge the authority of Allah. Some deny His existence, claiming that life has no purpose beyond what they see. Others spread corruption, promoting ideas that go against the natural order set by Allah. Some seek to mislead people, distorting the truth to serve their own desires. But despite all their efforts, the truth of Islam remains clear and unshaken. Throughout history, people have tried to silence the message of Allah, thinking they could put out the light of guidance. But no matter how hard they try, they always fail. Allah Himself has promised that His light will never be extinguished. They want to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah will perfect His light, even though the disbelievers dislike it. Surah Saf 61:8. We see this promise fulfilled even today. Many who once mocked Islam have later accepted it after discovering its undeniable truth. Some were scholars who set out to disprove the Quran, only to realize its wisdom was beyond human ability. Others were individuals lost in disbelief, yet their search for meaning led them to Islam. No matter how powerful a person or group may seem, their strength is nothing before the might of Allah. Kingdoms rise and fall, leaders come and go, and falsehood fades away, but the truth remains. The world has witnessed this over and over again. Those who challenge Allah will always fail, and His guidance will always prevail. The truly wise are those who humble themselves before their Creator. They recognize their own limitations and understand that true power belongs to Allah alone. Instead of challenging His authority, they submit to His will, knowing that obedience to Him is the only path to real success. Many people believe strength lies in wealth, status, or physical power. But the Prophet Muhammad taught us otherwise. He said, "The strong is not the one who overcomes people by his strength, but the strong is the one who controls himself when angry." Sahih al-Bukhari 6114. True strength is not in arrogance, but in humility. It is found in patience, self-control, and the ability to recognize the truth when it is presented. Those who reject arrogance and turn to Allah with sincerity are the ones who find true peace. Their hearts are guided, their burdens are lifted, and their lives are filled with purpose. While the fate of those who challenge Allah is destruction, the reward of those who submit to Him is far greater than anything this world can offer. They find contentment in this life and eternal success in the hereafter. The choice is clear. Those who bow before Allah in humility will rise in honor, while those who stand against Him will fall in disgrace. The fate of those who challenge Allah is a powerful reminder for all of us. It proves that arrogance leads only to destruction, while true success lies in submission to the Creator. Many before us have defied Allah's command, and history has shown their tragic end. If entire nations have perished because of their defiance, what makes anyone today think they can escape divine justice? However, despite these warnings, Allah's mercy remains vast. No matter how far someone has strayed, the door of repentance is always open. Allah does not seek to punish His creation. Rather, He calls them back to Him with love and forgiveness. He reminds us in the Quran, "Say, O my servants who have transgressed against themselves by sinning, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. Indeed, it is He who is the forgiving, the merciful." Surah Az-Zumar 39 verse 53. This is a lesson for those who reflect. The wise will take heed and turn back to their Creator, while the heedless will ignore the warnings until it is too late. The choice is clear, and the decision belongs to each individual. If this message touched your heart, share it with others so they too may reflect and find guidance. May Allah protect us from arrogance and grant us the humility to submit to His will. Until next time, stay steadfast in your faith. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.